Good morning, everybody. I have some things that are just on my mind this morning. Excuse me. Things that I'm thinking about for myself. Things that I think are pertinent to anybody, period, and that's the word discipline. Um, I'm thinking about and talking to the Lord this morning back and forth about what discipline's impact is, and I'm thinking about it in as far as Christianity is concerned. I'm thinking about it on the healthy side and on the extreme side, and so I just want to speak into that a little bit because my goals have been and remain to have a disciplined life, but with balance as the factor. And so you can take any good thing and turn it into a radical thing or an extreme thing, and it perverts what discipline is actually helpful for. In other words, I was thinking about it when it comes to religions. When you have radicals in a religion, they may be very devoted and disciplined to what their belief system is, but oftentimes the extremes cause anywhere from dissension among families to the point of even sometimes you have terrorism that gets involved. And I'm not pointing out a particular, I'm saying on any aspect, these things can get out of whack. When it comes to work ethics, people become workaholics, and maybe their business or who they work for, because they're trying to get up a ladder for success or whatever that is, it can become very unhealthy to where maybe you're thriving in an area, but at the cost of perhaps family or even your own health. You may not be married, maybe you are married, and your spouse and or children pays a price because of the unbalance with a discipline. And so, people can do it with hobbies. They can do it with their own children. You can become consumed by your children and trying to make the perfect life and do all the right things to a point to where a spouse can suffer because you're more devoted to your children than you are to them, or vice versa. You can be smitten by and wrapped up in a marriage because you're trying to compensate maybe for a failed marriage, and your children are paying the price. So there can be extremes in most everything that a discipline is a part of. So to me, what the Lord was just talking to me this morning about personally is that the difference between a disciplined son and a loved one. A loved son is always going to be a factor with the Lord. A disciplined son is the one who prioritizes Him and sets their day in motion with Holy Spirit as the priority, and then begins the process of walking in the open doors that the Lord has set. And that I am working on those things in my own life to be disciplined in how I walk with the Lord, and to improving on those things and not being satisfied with I'm better than I used to be and just staying there, because I can look and see areas where discipline needs to be implemented even better. That also includes me taking care of my temple, and I am working in areas. I'm not becoming so out of bounds and so focused on my health that I'm not giving myself room to be transformed. In other words, I'm not trying to fix it all at one swing of the bat. And so I know how I am. In order for me, in some areas, I can gradually become disciplined. Some areas, they just have to be change, period. And I, like, for example, whenever I was doing drugs a lot, I mean, I tried the approach with drugs of gradually not doing it. Whenever I used to smoke cigarettes, which has been, gosh, a very long time, but I did. It's the hardest thing that I had to get away from, and mostly because I tried to gradually not do it. And And I found out that I just have to make my mind up with those particular things. They just can't be apart. I can't get there eventually, and that might be different for you. I don't know. But for me, there's some things that I have to just stop, and there's some things that I have to work my way into. And I think that it becomes a reality check of you can't just do a cookie cutter approach at transformation. You have to go about things in the right way. So I will say this, as far as small business owners are concerned, if you are not disciplined with how you manage it, if you're not disciplined with how you approach it, then you're going to find yourself with a hobby that is going to cost you money and it'll never make you money. If you're working for an employer that is consumed by their business and they are very motivated by, I'm trying to find a nice word of saying, abusing your time, you have to find a way, probably first in prayer, to balance that out so that your view of employment doesn't become theirs, because you'll never be able to actually enjoy life. And quite frankly, as in a pastoral way, in a ministry way, I have been a part many times of people in their last moments, and I promise you, success in life has not been measured by the amount of money or the possessions they've had. It's been always about sometimes the regrets of what they wish they'd have done differently, particularly when people pass away way too soon. Almost always their conversation, if they have one, is about how they would have done things differently. And almost always it boils down to family. And so, but that being said, you can, I've found, because I am very family conscious, in order for that to be profitable too, there's disciplines involved, to where I wish I could just spend time all the time with my family, but if I don't go and get some of the things accomplished in the natural that I need to accomplish, then it makes it very stressful, because resources get depleted very quickly. As you know, it's very expensive to have a family, and it's worth it, but it's expensive, and so there are disciplines involved for that to flourish. There are time devotions that have to come into play when it comes to employment and finances, and so those things are just what they are, but they're important so that you get to do the things that you want to do, and you have the time that you want to have. And I'm going to finish with this one thing. All those things being said, I remember some time ago talking to the Lord, because my schedule is busy, but with my children, I don't want them to have this story of Dad was not around. We had things, but he wasn't around, or because he was a preacher, he was always taking care of everybody else, or because he was a business owner, he always had to do that. And I can't control some of the perspectives, because quite frankly, if you've lived long enough, you've got a perspective now as an adult that you had that you saw differently as a child, because you learned things. And so I can't fix misconceptions that my children may gather, but I have an influence and impact on things that are authentic and legitimate. So that being said, one of the things that the Lord said today with me is that you can't always have the amount of time with your children that you wish you had, but if you've only got 10 minutes to devote to your children, and I'm talking about individually and corporately, but individually in this context, then make sure you're present fully that entire 10 minutes. In other words, it's not just about not being on your phone, or being locked in on a television show, or locked in on bills, or it's about whenever we're having a conversation, that my mind is not thinking about three other things, and you have the discipline to be focused and hear them, and not just be present with them, because they will cherish and embrace that 10 minutes of knowing that they have you far more than 30 minutes or an hour or an entire day of a distracted parent. So that's true with every aspect, and sometimes that discipline is the most key discipline to have. Um, so yeah, those are things that are just I'm thinking about, and I'm just the Lord is dealing with me, and I'm improving in these areas as I learn. But let discipline be coupled with balance, and everybody has a different story of what that means. God bless you guys. Have a wonderful and prosperous week.